All right, we've got New York Post columnist, Pulitzer Prize winner Michael Goodwin on putting the focus back on Mr. Mueller himself. Your argument, Michael, has been therein lies the problem and the inherent conflicts that he generates, right?
Well, look, Neil, I think that from the very beginning, Robert Mueller had one major conflict, and that was his relationship with James Comey, who succeeded him at the FBI. And Comey, of course, was very instrumental and said he wanted a special counsel, and that special counsel happened to be Robert Mueller. But I think the events last week, with the funding of the dossier coming into focus, that the Democrats funded it, and the Russian dossier, and the fact that it probably was used by the Obama White House and the Obama Justice Department, the Obama FBI, as part of its investigation in Donald Trump. Because Robert Mueller worked for the Obama administration, I think that's a major conflict. And then secondly, the Uranium One deal, with the Congress finally getting the gag order lifted on the informant, that would have happened when Mueller was running the FBI. So I think that all of this fits neatly into an idea that this is a conflict that can't be corrected except for resignation. And I would just say, think of it as a Supreme Court justice. Elena Kagan had to recuse herself from several Supreme Court cases because she had worked on them while she was in the White House. Well, why should we give Robert Mueller a different standard for conflicts of interest, given that people's liberty and reputations, the whole presidential campaign is at stake? I think he has to be purer than Caesar's wife here, and I think these conflicts will muddy the waters and ultimately undercut the credibility of whatever he comes up with as it relates to the president.
You know, the other argument is that it's too late. The train has left the station. These events are ongoing. A lot of this goes back to a time where, to your point, he served as FBI director, where you could argue conflicts there, his affinity and closeness to Director Comey. Some of his supporters will tell you, well, that's a small camp and a school of people who are in that club anyway. What do you say to that, that it's just not realistic at this stage? Well,
I agree that it is difficult, and we have moved down the road, but I think the events of last week changed the dynamics. As I say, the emergence of the dossier into this issue now, because the fact that the Democrats paid for it and that the FBI used it, you effectively then, I think, have a very partisan operation going. And because Mueller was part of the partisan operation in the sense that he worked for the Obama administration, which was trying to help Hillary Clinton and which used the dossier presumably for the unmasking, and perhaps the FBI used it as well. So I think that there is just too much weight here. Look, Neil, if we go back to the campaign, if we go back to the whole issue of Russia, 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 it was how divided the country is. And if we're going to go down the special counsel route, and if the special counsel's findings are going to be seen as partisan at the end of the day, I think this just further divides the country. And I think a lot of people that I'm hearing from are saying, you know, how is Mueller different from Clinton in that sense? I mean, think of the things then that happened in the FBI under Mueller. All of these things then become fair game for people to say,
but wouldn't it always be the case that someone would glean bias, and it would be argued ad nauseum that if he were to resign, as you advocate now, we'd be starting all over again, that the investigation wouldn't stop?
Well, no, that's right. But it wouldn't necessarily be starting all over again. You could have the investigation with a new person heading it, in the same way that the argument was made when James Comey was fired. That didn't end the investigation. Mueller took it over. So I think it's not about the investigation per se. It's about Mueller's personal conflicts.
All right. Michael Goodwin, very good seeing you again.
My pleasure.